This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
I'm Jason Clouse. And over the course of my life, I've done a lot of different things, and I've worn a lot of different hats. But this may be my greatest endeavor yet. On this show, we are going to focus on life. We are going to focus on the basic fundamentals. We are going to focus on the silver lining. Because no matter what happens, no matter what is thrown our way, there is a silver lining. There is a lesson to be learned. Sometimes we just have to look a little bit harder, a little bit deeper for it. That's what this show is all about. Sometimes it's going to be rough, sometimes it's going to be raw, sometimes it may be hard to listen to. But it's something that you need to hear. This just got real.
And now, the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network presents its flagship show, the Clouse to the Heart podcast. Here is your host, Jason Clouse.
And after an extended break and bringing in the new year, we welcome you to the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network. You are listening to the Clouse to the Heart podcast. I'm Jason Clouse. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. And more than that, I appreciate your patience as we have been doing a lot of moving and shaking behind the scenes here. And, as life happens, things had to be prioritized. And with that, I decided to take a little bit of a break from recording the show for a couple of different reasons. Some, I'm just not going to get into it in a public forum right now. There will be a time, there will be a place. This is not it this week. But make no mistake about it, things are good. Things are moving in the right direction. We just had to, I had to take some downtime is what it comes down to. And I had to, I needed a break because I was, burning the candle at both ends. And we were coming into the holidays and, with the holidays, there's a number of different factors that come into play. And so, it was really more or less hitting the reset button. We are now in the year 2025, which means, when I look at it in that aspect, we're coming up. This is the 5th year that we have been doing podcasting on my own network. So, there's a lot of goals in place here, short-term goals, long-term goals, big and small, everywhere in between. But make absolute no mistake about it. We are on our way to have a very memorable year here at the network. And there's a number of things that I want to touch on real quick before we get to the main topic this week. And I do have one. I do want to make mention as a programming note real quick while I'm thinking about it, really, because you know how I get sometimes, especially when I start tackling the topic at hand. My mind just it will focus on one thing and shut down everything else. But I do want to make mention real quick and send out a public invitation that this coming Sunday, Tim Sheridan and I, who you hear on the Sports Reel podcast on Wednesdays or Thursdays, all depending on when the show actually drops. We are going to be live on location this Sunday, January the 26th, and we will be going live on the air at 2:30 p.m. during the NFC Championship game from Lightning Rounds in Lapeer, Michigan. They are located at 266 Lake Nepessine Road in Lapeer. Tremendous staff, tremendous food. We were there a few weeks ago for the Monday Night Football game. And look, make no mistake about it. When things were put into play here, we anticipated that our Detroit Lions were going to be in the NFC Championship game. And if you watched this past weekend, well, you know that's not going to be a thing. We will be met with a Washington Commanders, Philadelphia Eagles NFC Championship game. But make no mistake about it, Tim and I are going to be live on location. Come on out, have a drink or two, have some good food, hang out with Tim and I, be a part of the conversation. You can be a part of the show. We will have live mics open because this time of the year, this coming into championship weekend for the NFL, everybody has an opinion. So one more time, this Sunday, January the 26th, we will be going live on the air at 2:30 p.m. across Facebook, YouTube, and of course Riverside.fm. So we wanted to make mention of that real quick. And tomorrow, as you're hearing this on Wednesday, you will get a new episode of What the 80s, the new 80s nostalgia show with Jill Bain and myself. We are going to be looking at the curse of Poltergeist. So, that's if you're interested in that, a lot of lore, a lot of speculation around the goings on that have become something of urban legend, I guess, for the lack of a better term, around the franchise that is Poltergeist. So that's going to drop on Wednesday. So check that out. It drops at midnight here on the PFC Entertainment Network. And then next week, we are going to get really back on track, and you will hear the return of the Real Podcast with Amy Sheridan. So check that out. Now, I am going to tackle a topic today that is going to resonate with just about all of you. It is going to it's going to be controversial. It's going to be polarizing. It's going to garner some conversation, and it may hurt people's feelings. Anybody who knows anything about me, especially at this stage, quite simply, I am all about protecting that internal peace. I am all about maximizing our minutes here that we have with this one shot at life that we have. Without a shadow of a doubt, if you've listened to me for any length of time on this particular program, I do not pull no punches and I do not give a fuck. I just don't. And because of that, it has made me a very polarizing and controversial person. And you know what? I'll own it. I give me the button to put on. I mean, it's not a thing with me, because here's the thing. The phrase "one shot at life" is one of our mantras here. It's one of the foundations that established this particular program, because at the end of the day, we have one shot at life. What are you going to do with it? I can sit back and do a retrospect on friends, family, colleagues, like the whole 9 yards, and think and pinpoint that didn't go right. This person treated me this way. I went above and beyond for this, that, or the other thing. only to have it thrown back in my face or misrepresented or um, anything along those lines. And after you encounter that time and time and time again, eventually something snaps. It either snaps in a very, very bad way, or it snaps in a way where you are now more motivated to change the course, um, in an effort to, at the end of the day, to live the life that we want to live, to be happy. Because I don't know anybody, let me back up. I don't spend an exuberant amount of time with or on anybody that seeks to be miserable. Now, there are those who do subscribe to that philosophy because misery loves company. People who subscribe to that philosophy is because they have not been supported, they have not been loved, they have not been respected, they have been made to feel inferior, less than. Eh, and when you are met with that over and over and over again, it's going to really change your entire mindset. I have maintained you got to have a good mindset if you are going to achieve any kind of success. Doesn't matter what realm we're talking about, doesn't matter, what genre of activity that we're talking about. This is real life shit. Okay. And in a day and age where we have social media at our disposal to voice our opinions, our concerns, our feelings about something. And there's a right way to go about things, and there's a wrong way to go about things. And all you need to do is just go on one of these platforms and just scroll for a little bit, and you see exactly what I'm talking about. Those people. Everything is doom and gloom. Everything is the end of the world. Everything fucking sucks. And it's like, holy mackerel! Like, how do you operate during the day with that mentality, that heaviness you have elected to shoulder as you navigate your day to day? Now, there will be some that will say, nope, I didn't ask for any of this. No, you didn't. And I'm sure you didn't. But you don't have to sit there and just let it happen either. That's submissive. If you really want to enjoy life, if you really want to get the most out of this one opportunity that we have, you're going to have to change your mindset. You're going to have to flip that switch because nobody's going to do it other than you. Now, there are those who can motivate you to do so, there are those who can inspire you to do so, but at the end of the day, they can't do it for you. You have to do it because it's your life, it's your existence. Now we can put all the pieces in place and let you navigate position them the way that you need, but nobody can physically live your life for you. Now there are some that will try because you offer them some degree of, what is the word? You offer them some degree of, I don't want to say it like that. That's an ugly way to say it. But you provide some sort of value in their lives, right? And they will continue to try to get as much out of you as you can. We hear the analogy often of filling the cup. You can dump your cup into somebody else's, but if there's nobody there to refill yours, you're on borrowed time. You're in borrowed time in terms of your energy, of your mood, of your well-being, because eventually this is the kind of shit that will eat you from the inside out. More often than not, you don't realize that's happening until it's too late. You're knocked down, you're feeling like crap, like the end of the world is right in front of you from your estimation. Well, wouldn't you know it, I have something of a list. And this is what's going to piss people off. Because some of these things are no-brainers. Some of these things are common sense, but they're often neglected. They're neglected for a number of reasons, primarily because you're worried about how it's going to affect other people. You're worried about how other people are going to feel about it. And at the end of the day, if you're a decent human being, you don't seek out to hurt people's feelings. You don't go out in an effort to try to tear people down. Shit happens. Absolutely it does. But it's not like you're setting out to condemn anybody. Now, if you are, then that's a conversation. That's another conversation for another day. And that's going to be one of those conversations that gets real polarizing. You feel me? One of the biggest criticisms that I get at this stage is, you're not the same person you used to be. You don't this and you don't that and blah, blah, blah. No, what I don't do is entertain bullshit. If something is out there that is disrupting my internal peace, I will steer clear of it. I will change course. I will eliminate the source of contention. I will eliminate the source of aggravation or anything along those lines, any ill feeling that is disrupting my internal peace. Because let me tell you something, for somebody who has spent the majority of their lives trying to please everybody, trying to make sure everybody else is happy or is good or has what they need, oftentimes at our own expense, this, when you change course in your life as dramatically as I have, people are going to have a fucking fit. Why? Because what they bring to your life is no longer applicable to your goals, your dreams, your desires. So instead of having a constant friction, that constant confrontation between two entities like that, I will cut it the fuck out without question, without hesitation, and without a single solitary regret. Because my happiness is worth it. Now, those individuals at that point have a choice to make. They can either get their shit together if they really want to be that integral part of your life, or they can move on and we wish them luck in their future endeavors. Just keep my fucking name out of your mouth. That's the problem. I don't mean just me. I'm talking generally, but you get it. I have a list of several things here that it's okay to ... in an effort to achieve and to maintain personal internal peace, to embark on your dreams, your goals. Especially at this time of year, we are in January, right? Like this, month one of a brand new year. And this is where a lot of people will set their resolutions. At this stage of the month, I would suggest that 60% of you have abandoned your resolution that you set on December the 31st or January 1st. It's statistically proven. That's why I don't do resolutions, man. I set goals. Goals are more personal. Goals are more solid because a resolution gives you a back door out in the face of failure. Things ain't going right. You just back yourself out the back door and be, well, I failed this year. You've got 11 more months of this year to go. What? Okay, so you stumbled out of the gate. It's not that big of a deal. It happens. If you think life is just going to be easy street and you're going to get everything you want, need, and desire without any kind of fight for it, you are living in a fantasy land and you need a reality check. Because, and you've heard me say this a million times, anything worth having is worth fighting for. Because it ain't going to be handed to you. And if it is handed to you, it can just as easily be taken away as it was being thrown at you. Facts. People need to be reminded that it's okay to blank. Well, I'm going to fill in the blank this week. And there's going to be at least one thing on here that's going to resonate with you. You could be going through a number of different things with your personal life that seems insurmountable. That seems like it's like this is your lot in life and you're stuck. Bullshit. You're not stuck. It ain't going to be easy, but you're not stuck. If you're stuck, it's because you have elected to stay stuck. You have thrown in the towel. That is a you problem. Because just about every single aspect that life throws at you, just about, there are very few exceptions that's completely out of our hands. Nothing we can do about it. You just got to roll the dice and hope for the best. Generally, this happens with, health-related issues out of our hands. But aside from that, and the way we conduct ourselves with our day-to-day, this is where people need to be reminded of several things, especially if you are not an overly happy person. You're not happy with the way your life is going. Well, what are you going to do to fix it? What are you going to do to regain control? What are you going to do in order for you to have the life that you want? Again, sometimes it's as easy as being reminded that it's okay to this, that, or the other thing. So let's look at a few of these. It's okay to outgrow friendships. I'm writing the book. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. No matter what stage of life that you're in right now, do you have the same group of friends that you had from elementary school? Or from when you were a teenager? Chances are pretty good that when you look back over the course of your life, that there are people that you swore that they were going to be your ride or die for the duration, for the long haul. Now there are some where there are friendships that have withstood the test of time. I have, two of my closest friends I've known over 30 years and maintained strong friendships with. Other ones, people that I consider friends, people that are in my inner circle. The average length of time is a decade and a half plus. I am very particular about who I have allowed in my inner circle. Now, there are going to be those people that we encounter through school, that encounter through sports, that we encounter through work. And they're good people. You had fun with them. You enjoyed their company. You enjoyed working with them. You enjoyed playing with them. You enjoyed hanging out with them. But life is going to take everybody down different paths. And oftentimes, unfortunately, that path means that you are not as accessible, or they are not as accessible. And the next thing you know, that friendship has kind of gone to the wayside. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But there are those friendships that come with strings attached. And here's the thing about that: a true friendship should not be measured by the strings that are attached, or about what you can do for the other individual. Friendships should be based on you just genuinely enjoy their company. You enjoy their presence in your life without any kind of ill feelings, without feeling any kind of dread. If you start feeling those kind of emotions with a particular individual on a professional or a personal realm, you got to make a tough decision here. Now, I'm not saying, slam them and, just butcher the shit out of them because you guys don't see eye to eye or what have you. This is life. It happens. Sometimes that's just the way life goes. But under no circumstances should your life or should your friendships be measured by anything other than admiration and respect. If you start feeling like the whole strings attached thing, you're out. I've got no time for it. I'm not saying I hate you. I'm not saying I wish ill on you. You just don't have a spot at my table anymore. I'll be cordial. I'll be respectful. If I run into you at the store or, out in public or what have you, even in the inbox, I'll correspond, but you're not getting the same version of me that you may have been once used to. That's unfortunate, but that's life. It's okay to prioritize yourself. This could be its own episode because I read this and there's a few people that pop up in my mind. One very prominently. Prioritizing yourself is going to be step one in finding that internal peace. And this is the part that a lot of people have a problem with because they're worried about how it's going to make other people feel. And while I can appreciate that, and while I do respect that, at the end of the day, you are the one that looks back at yourself when you look in the mirror. That is the individual that you need to prioritize. Now, before anybody jumps on the soapbox and be like, nope, the kids come first. To a degree. Because I have maintained, and this is a hill I will die on. If you ain't good with you, you ain't going to be worth a fuck to anybody else, including your kids. You feel me? Changes may have to be made to prioritize yourself, to get you to the best version of yourself that your kids may not understand in the moment, but in the grand scheme, they will. Because if you're not good, you're not giving them your 100%. You're giving them a fraction of that. And if your kids are as much of a priority as you say that they are, then you will know that the best version of yourself and whatever has to happen to get you to that point, That is what is going to give you the best opportunity to be the best parent that you can be, to make sure that and it's a life lesson. It's a strong life lesson. And again, it's not one of those things that people just, they don't know how to navigate. They're afraid to navigate it because they're afraid of how it's going to affect the kids. And listen, I understand that. But how long are you going to sacrifice your well-being because you're worried about how any type of decision is going to affect them? There's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. Absolutely, there is. But if you're being transparent, if you're being honest, if you're being respectful, it always comes back around. It may take some time, but it does. It's okay to say no without guilt. I struggled with this one. I hated telling people no. Hated it. I felt like I was letting people down. But then when push came to shove and it came back around and the roles were reversed, they had no problem whatsoever saying no. So if they can do that, why is it not okay for me to say no? And this is where you start really evaluating what you are to people. This is where you really start figuring out what role you provide in these people's lives. And this is where you start to outgrow the friendships or the relationships because if they're going to try to guilt you into anything, they don't have your best interest at the forefront. All they give a shit about is them, what you can do for them. So it's okay to say no and not feel bad about it. Regardless of what they may say, regardless of how they may respond, regardless of what they may do in an effort to make you feel bad, you got to remember they're reacting out of a hit to their ego because they're not used to being told no. They're used to having you at in the palm of their hands or in their back pocket. Fuck that. No, you're worth more than that. Your priorities are worth more than that. Your boundaries are worth more than that. And if they can't accept that, they can't respect that, they don't need a seat at your table. Straight up. It's okay not to have everything figured out. Again, another one that I struggled with because I needed to make sure all my T's were crossed and all my I's were dotted. I had to have the plan in place, all scenarios considered, had to have it figured out before I would step out and embark on it. I have learned that it does not always materialize that way. It's unfortunate because we waste so much time doing. I think about how much time I've wasted. I think of how many opportunities I've let slip by me because I didn't have it all figured out. If I had just taken a leap of faith, there is no telling where I would have landed at this stage. Looking, hindsight's always 2020. Always 2020. But at the same time, I wouldn't have learned the life lessons that I have if I had gone the other route. You know what I mean? So there is that silver lining. And it has, in turn, made me a better version of myself, especially in terms of how I deal with conflict or disagreements or anything along these lines. You don't have to have it all figured out. And that's okay, because you're going to learn as you go. A lot of people will equate this as on-the-job training. All they need is the opportunity. And some people, that's all they need. They just need that opportunity, and they'll figure it out as we go. I have adopted this more in this day and age, especially as I'm embarking on different goals and dreams and things of this nature. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm learning as I go. And so far, aside from a hiccup here or there, it's been pretty damn beneficial, because I'm able to continue to move towards the life that I want. It's okay to take time to heal. For whatever reason, there are some people who feel like there is a designated time frame of when you're allowed to heal. And to which I say, fuck off. You hear me? If you are somebody who suggests that there is a designated block of time to heal, you are clearly, either you have never experienced anything like that caused the kind of pain that necessitates you to heal from, which that's a blessing and you should count your lucky stars for that, or you're just not in tune with the human element. And this, in my view, makes you an asshole. We are human beings with feelings that feel. And when we are hurt by loss, by betrayal, by setbacks, and anything along these lines, anything that causes any kind of hurt, we need to take that time to heal from it in the way that only you are going to be able to come out on the other end feeling better about things. There are some things that you're just never going to fully heal from. That's life. But you don't have to let it dictate your day-to-day either. And there are those who will take a situation that has resulted in some degree of hurt, and they will ride on that in an effort for continued attention and sympathy. And you're doing nothing to try to heal yourself, because you are so wrapped up in the attention and the sympathy that you get from other people, primarily on social media. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen somebody post something about a family member or a friend who has passed away, somebody that actually meant something to them, but everything that they put out there isn't necessarily about the person that they lost. It's about them. They tried to make it about them in an effort to get that sympathy, to be part of the attention. That's not where the attention is supposed to go. It ain't about you. It's supposed to be about the individual that you lost. Now, I realize that's on the far extreme end of the spectrum. There are things that happen in our day-to-day that will result in some sort of loss, hurt, or disappointment. It's okay to heal from that, rebound from that, learn from it, and then move forward. Those who decide to keep themselves in the depths of despair like that, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, And what you're ultimately doing, and you may not realize this, and I'll go ahead and be the one to tell you, you're making yourself look like a Klingon in the worst possible manner. And that's unfortunate. But at the same time, you know, those who are legitimately hurt, and you have people in your life that are like, oh, you know, it's been 3 weeks. Aren't you over it yet? See this a lot when people lose pets. Like, I understand the pain of losing a pet. I had 2 cats, man. Like, anybody who knows me for any length of time knows about my 2 cats. I had them both over 20 years. So when their times came, like, that was awful, to the point to where I don't want another pet. Now, my girl has a dog, and that dog has, like, he and I are buddies. And while I love the little bastard, I'm going to be extremely pissed when his time comes, because I've gotten attached to another animal when I told myself I never would again. I don't want any more pets. You know, I don't want that pain. I'm not going to set myself up for that kind of pain. But I understand, you know, when you have a pet like that, you know, dog, cat, that type of thing. It doesn't have to be that. Some people love their snake, I guess, whatever. But it's okay to take that time to heal. But when this starts to become a years long mourning process, you're going to have to really reevaluate some shit here. You see what I'm saying? It's okay to change your mind. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because you could be presented with anything in one aspect, in one light. And then as time marches on, you realize that what your original thoughts, opinions, or feelings were may be shifting because of how the entity itself has changed. Or whether you learn something, knowledge, comes into play. And when you get concrete knowledge about something, that can change your mind about what you may have thought about a person, place, entity, job, whatever. It doesn't even matter. It's okay to change your mind. That's one of the cool things about being where we are. We are not programmed to think alike, to like everything the same. This is what makes us individuals. And a lot of times people will be made to feel shamed if they do change their mind on a person, a place, or an entity. Why? Why is it not okay for a person to change their mind? Oftentimes it's because that person that takes exception to you changing their mind are on the receiving end in an ill way of that change. They no longer fit your narrative. They no longer fit your goals, or the job doesn't, or the place doesn't. It doesn't, whatever it is. It's okay to change your mind. You're not obligated to subscribe to every single other person's bullshit or opinion or thought process. You don't have to. It's 100% up to you. It's okay. It's okay to set boundaries with family and friends. Boundaries is a big one. Boundaries is a big one. Because what happens with boundaries is you will always have at least one person when you go to reestablish or reset new boundaries within your life, you are going to have at least one person that is going to take exception to it if they find themselves on the outside of that particular boundary. Why? Because they feel like they're the exception to the rule. They feel like they have an automatic in to your most inner part of your inner circle, no matter what. I have encountered this fairly recently, where I set boundaries, established boundaries on a professional realm as well as a personal run, and people don't respect them. Why? Because they have found themselves on the outside of that particular boundary. Why? Because something that they have said or done on a consistent basis has caused me to feel some degree of threat to my inner peace. So when boundaries go up, those individuals have a choice to make. They're at the fork in the road. They can either respect them, and this is just where they're going to be until they can demonstrate a behavior pattern that is not going to challenge your inner peace, or they can simply fuck right off and move on. If they can't respect, if they don't have enough respect for you and your boundaries, to the point to where they continuously challenge their position and your stance with your established boundaries, they are essentially telling you what they think about you and what lack of respect they truly do have for you. It's unfortunate, man, and it's a sad thing to watch unfold. But at the end of the day, you know what you want out of life. You know what makes you happy. You know what you want in terms of your internal peace. If these individuals cannot get on board with that, that is a them problem, not a you problem. That is a lack of respect, a lack of admiration for you. And oftentimes, these are the same people that are going to take and take and take and take and take everything they can from you. But when it comes back around, it's not reciprocated. Family is a funny one. Family feels like a lot of families feel like just because you may share the same blood, that gives them an automatic in, or it makes them exempt to the rule, to the boundaries. More often than not, they're the motherfucking reasons why there are boundaries, because they have exploited, they have uh, taken advantage of you, what you bring to the table, your presence. And when they're pushed to the outside of the boundaries, holy shit, this is where you really, you really start to see people for who and what they are. I'm family. You shouldn't be treating me like this. No, you are an asshole, which is why you are being treated the way that you are. You disrupt my personal peace, my internal peace. I don't give a fuck what your last name is. I don't give a fuck what kind of blood you got running through you. I don't give a fuck where you live. None of that matters. None of that matters. Because the most strongest bonds of family aren't necessarily those that we're related to. You feel me? It's about the people who love and respect you and respect your boundaries. These are the same sons of bitches that are going to treat you any way they see fit. And you're just supposed to be okay with it. And if there's a conflict, there's an argument, there's some sort of controversy that has resulted in a fight, in an argument, a falling out of some sort, you're expected to just sweep that shit under the rug. No. Nope. That don't fly with me. You disrespect me. You disrespect the people that are in my inner circle. You disrespect my boundaries. I have zero time, effort, energy, or patience for you. Again, this is a result of your actions, not mine. That could be a whole nother episode unto itself. There's a lot on here, so I'm kind of, and we're already like 10 minutes away from the top of the hour here, so it's like I don't want to go too deep into all these shit. Well, no, not doing that one. It's okay to love yourself first. Self-respect is a big thing with me, man. It's crucial. Having a healthy level of self-respect is going to be the catalyst to take you to the best version of yourself. And people will call you selfish. People will condemn you. People will tell you anything and everything in an effort for you to question what you're doing or how you feel about yourself. I have a huge problem with this. These are narcissists. These are people who their needs are not being met because you're focusing on you, and they're going to make that known. But again, if they're not cool with you taking time out for you to be the best version of yourself, they do not deserve a spot at the table. They do not deserve to have access to you on that level. Again, it is a direct result of their actions. You're realizing a theme here, right? With every action, there is a reaction. Facts. The problem is that their ego does not allow them to take responsibility. Can't be my problem. I'm great. No, fuckface, you're not. That's the problem. It's okay to walk away from toxic situations. Yep. For all the reasons I've already laid out. You can incorporate this, that, and the other thing from all these articles, these other articles that I have described so far on this broadcast, and incorporate it to this. You've got toxic people, toxic situations in your life. You've got to figure out how to navigate through that. You've got to figure out how to deal with that, or you have to figure out how to eliminate it. Don't be worrying about what other people are going to think. Do not worry about what other people are going to say, because people are going to talk shit. That's what they do. They talk shit. That's all they know. Because it's a defense mechanism. Again, these are the same people that are going to be appalled and shocked that they're on the receiving end of you protecting yourself. You do not need to entertain toxic people, toxic situations. Now, if it's a job related thing, get something lined up before you just, grab your shit and walk out the front door because you've had enough. You've got to be smart about it. Don't act on impulse. It took me a minute to learn that. But man, once I got into the mindset of protecting my inner peace and walking away from toxic people and toxic situations, things have been a lot lighter. I don't carry as much weight on my shoulders as I used to, because I just do not entertain any degree of bullshit. I'm just not doing it. We don't need to spend so much time and energy on people that at the end of the day are just not good for our lives. It's a bitter pill to swallow for both parties, but it's a necessary one if you really want to achieve that internal peace. There's a few other ones here. We'll wrap it up with this one. It's okay to forgive yourself for past mistakes. The challenge that comes with this is when your past mistakes are constantly or continuously or oftentimes thrown back in your face. Especially when it comes from people who were not around when the mistakes were made. They weren't there when all that shit happened. They weren't there to see you go through whatever it is that you went through. They weren't there to walk a mile in your shoes. They didn't see shit through your eyes. They didn't feel the things that you did through your heart. They didn't think about the things that crossed your mind. They have no fucking idea what happened. But they're going to be the first one to judge you. They're going to be the first one to shame you. They're going to be the first one to bring up every single time there is a disagreement or an argument. Well, back in the day, you did this. No. You do not get to use that as ammunition in an argument or a fight. You have no right to do that. Because believe me, most people that are in tune with themselves, they have already beat themselves up. They have condemned themselves way worse than you will ever do. So do them and do yourself a favor and shut your fucking mouth. If this is the kind of activity that you choose to engage in, this is what makes people toxic. This is what makes situations toxic. And you are really riding that razor's edge, man. So for us who have made the mistakes, for those of us who have, we can look back and be like, damn, I really fucked this up. It doesn't have to be the defining moment of your life. It can be a learning lesson. It can be a pivot point that because of this is why I am now engaging in down this road. That happens. But it's okay to heal. It's okay to forgive yourself. And just make damn good sure that you do not repeat the same issues that that once was. Because we're human. We all make mistakes. We all have things in our story that we wish we could redo or take back or wish it never happened. But it did. You can either wallow around in it or you can learn from it. Forgive yourself. It's okay. You fucked up. Move on. Learn from it. Make sure you don't do it again. Move on. And if there's people that continuously remind you of all that shit, it goes right back up to number one. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay. So as we go ahead and start to wind this episode down, I'd like to, we made mention of this, I believe it was on the Sports Reel live stream that we did this past weekend for the Lions game. But even though right now it's like single digits outside, or like my computer is telling me that right now it's 8 degrees outside with wind chills way below zero. Um, Baseball season is coming up. Spring training is going to be starting here in a few weeks, and with that, the PFC online store is about to drop a new batch of merchandise, new baseball jerseys and hats inspired by the shows here on the PFC network are going to be made available. On this particular graphic, you can see there's one for Quadell Edwards, Creepy Soup, several of them for the Sports Reel podcast, Fatal Four Way, PFC Network, and of course there's going to be different hats that will, course, correspond with the jerseys. You can check those out beginning on Valentine's Day. They're going to drop February the 14th. PFCstore.printify.me. I certainly appreciate everybody tuning in here this week. And with that, we will go ahead and put a bow on this week's episode. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, show topic ideas, anything of the sort, you can hit us up over on the Clouse to the Heart Facebook page, clousetotheheart@gmail.com or pfcnetwork.net. With that, go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next time right here on the Clouse to the Heart podcast, the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network.